Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I will be discussing the history of Asians in America, and I will explain why there is no Asian Lives Matter movement despite the multiple atrocities they faced in the 18th and 19th century. I'm going to explain why the radical left has not called for reparations for the Asians who suffered segregation. During the 1800s, it was not difficult to find anti-Chinese sentiments in America. Racial tensions eventually led to the massacre of many Chinese Americans. On March 3, 1863, the California legislature passed a statute prohibiting Asian Americans from testifying in court as witnesses or victims of crimes. According to Medium, in 1871, 10 years after anti-Asian legislation was passed, around 20 Chinese men were tortured and killed by a mob that consisted of whites and Hispanics. The police officers decided the Chinese people who were murdered did not deserve a murder trail, thanks to the Californian anti-Asian legislation. The Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882 was the first significant law restricting immigration into the United States, only 11 years after the massacre. According to history, after the 1852 crop failure in China, over 20,000 Chinese immigrants came through San Francisco's customs to live a better life. The Californian government thought it was appropriate to tax Chinese miners a $3 tax, for the color of their skin. By 1870, Chinese miners had paid almost $5 million to the state of California. In 1892, the Chinese Exclusion Act, which barred Chinese and other ethnic minorities from migrating to America, was extended by another 10 years and required Chinese residents to hold special documentation to stay living in America. If a Chinese American citizen was caught without documentation, they would be put on trial before their deportation, and the only way to stay in America was to get a credible white witness to vouch for the accused. American-born Chinese citizens were not allowed to acquire citizenship until the Immigration Act of 1924. After Pearl Harbor, according to the Smithsonian Magazine, Japanese Americans were incarcerated during World War II, and were placed in what some today describe as American concentration camps. The United States government forced around 120,000 Japanese Americans into so-called relocation centers. In the relocation centers, 1 out of 10 Japanese prisoners died of tuberculosis or terrible conditions. Segregation of Asians was publicly called for during World War I. According to Asia Society, all Asian immigrants, including Chinese, Japanese, Koreans, and Indians, were fully excluded by law, denied citizenship and naturalization, and prevented from marrying Caucasians or owning land. Now, with all these atrocities that were committed towards Asians, why isn't there an Asian Lives Matter movement? Well, it's because they didn't play the America Pressed Me card. They rose above the racism and the segregation that they had suffered. Now, in almost every possible metric, Asian Americans are the most economically successful. The average Asian American family median net worth is $78,000, white family net worth is $62,000, and the average black family median net worth is $37,000. This brings me back to my first conclusion, which is, the reason black people are disproportionately poorer in America is because of single motherhood. Highest black-on-black murder rates accounting for 40% of America's murder, and the excessive high school dropout rates. The reason there is no Asian Lives Matter movement is because there is no systemic racism. This evidence would topple the Black Lives Matter movement. And even if there is systemic racism, Asians are living proof that you can outperform whites, even with the existence of systemic racism. If you would like more information about the Black Lives Matter movement, please watch the rest of my videos. Thanks for watching.